$412,000. That is the number that changed everything for one person I want to tell you about today. Not a million, not 2 million, not some impossible Wall Street fantasy figure that your financial advisor throws at you to make you feel behind forever. $412,000, sitting in dividend-paying assets, generating enough monthly income to cover every essential bill without touching a single paycheck. Hold that number. We are going to build to exactly how it works before this is over. But first, picture this. It is Sunday evening. You have had a decent weekend. Maybe you watched a movie, spent some time outside, had a good meal, and then, right around 7 or 8 o'clock, something shifts. A quiet, creeping dread settles in. Tomorrow is Monday. The alarm is already set. The week is already loading. You are not in danger. You're not starving. By most measures, you're fine. But fine does not feel free because you know that if the paycheck stopped, even for 60 days, the whole thing unravels. The mortgage, the car payment, the grocery bill, all of it is suspended from a single wire called your job. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you keep hearing the same question on repeat. How much do I actually need before I don't have to do this anymore? That question has a real answer, and most people never find it. Not because it is complicated, but because they are looking in the wrong place. Here is what this video is going to do for you. First, we are going to cut through the noise and give you a real, personalized number, not a one-size-fits-all myth that the internet keeps recycling. Second, we are going to show you the exact vehicle that gets you there faster than almost anything else available to a regular person with a regular income: dividend investing. And third, we are going to show you what the math actually looks like at every stage, so you stop guessing and start building. If you leave before the end, you are leaving without the number. Stay with me. If building a stream of income that eventually replaces your paycheck is something you are serious about, that is exactly what I break down here consistently, with real numbers and no fluff. Subscribe so you catch the next one. Here's the question I want you to hold on to through this entire video. Why do most people who are told they need $1 million to retire actually need far less? And why do some people who have more than $1 million still feel completely stuck? The number is not the problem. The method of calculating it is, and we are going to fix that. Let me introduce you to two people. Call them Marcus and Sarah. Same age, 34. Same income, about $65,000 a year. Same city, similar cost of living. They both read the same headline one afternoon that said the average American needs $1.2 million to retire comfortably. Marcus looked at that number, felt vaguely defeated, closed the tab, and went back to watching television. Sarah looked at the same number and asked a different question. She did not ask, "How do I get to 1.2 million?" She asked, "Is 1.2 million actually what I need? Or is that someone else's number?" That single shift in the question, that is where everything changed. Keep Sarah in mind. We are coming back to her. The number you have been told, 1 million, 1.2 million, 1.5 million, those figures come from a single framework called the 4% rule. The idea is simple. If you have a large enough pile of money, you can withdraw 4% of it every year, and statistically your money will outlast you. So if you need $40,000 a year to live, divide 40,000 by 0.04, and you get $1 million. That is the logic. But here's what nobody tells you about that rule. And it changes the entire picture. The 4% rule was designed around spending down your principal. It assumes that over 30 years, you are slowly eating through your savings. It is a depletion model. It was built for people pulling from a pot, not for people who want that pot to keep refilling itself indefinitely. Which means there is an entirely different way to think about this, one that most beginners never hear about. Instead of asking how much money do I need, ask how much monthly income do I need my assets to generate? This is the mental shift that separates people who eventually stop working from people who just keep pushing retirement further away. Here is how it works in the real world. Take your monthly essential expenses, Rent or mortgage, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, basic subscriptions. Not your entire lifestyle, just the baseline. The amount that, if covered, means you could survive and breathe without a paycheck. For a lot of people in mid-sized American cities, that number lands somewhere between $2,000 and $3,500 a month. Now, what if a collection of assets you owned paid you that amount every single month, whether you worked or not? That is not fantasy. That is dividend income. And in a moment, I am going to show you the exact math on what it takes to get there. And it is lower than you think. A dividend is simply a company sharing a portion of its profits with the people who own its stock. You buy shares. The company makes money. It sends you a cut, monthly, quarterly, sometimes even weekly depending on the fund. The income does not require you to sell anything. It does not require you to time a market. It just arrives. And here is the thing that makes dividends psychologically different from any other form of saving. And there is research that backs this up. In a study published in Nature Human Behavior, researcher Matthew Killingsworth found that passive income produces a meaningfully different psychological experience than earned income, even at the exact same dollar amount. It is not just about the money, it is about the decoupling. When income is tied to your time, every dollar you earn costs you hours. When income is tied to your assets, your time is yours. The money keeps moving whether you do or not. That feeling, that is what we are building toward. Let me give you a real, concrete example. Not a hypothetical. Actual numbers you can adapt. Say your essential monthly expenses are $2,800. That is $33,600 per year. Now imagine you own a portfolio of dividend-paying assets, a mix of established dividend ETFs, dividend growth stocks, and a small allocation to higher-yield income funds, with a blended average yield of around 6% annually. To generate $33,600 a year at 6% yield, you would need a portfolio of approximately $560,000. $560,000. Not $1.2 million, nearly half the number most people are told to chase. Hold that, because it gets more interesting. Now, what if your expenses were leaner? Say $2,200 a month, $26,400 a year, because you paid off a car, moved somewhere slightly cheaper, or cut a few recurring bills. At 6% yield, your number drops to $440,000. And if you are a little more aggressive, maybe a 7% blended yield, which is absolutely achievable with the right fund selection, that same $2,200 a month requires roughly $377,000. That is it. That is the ballpark of the $412,000 I opened with. This is not about getting lucky. This is income math, it is mechanical, it is repeatable, and it is available to people who start with relatively modest incomes. Here's where I want you to pause for a second and honestly locate yourself. Stage 1. You have no investments yet, maybe a small savings account, and you are still in the phase of figuring out the baseline question. What is my number? Stage 2. You have started investing. Maybe you have a 401k, maybe a few index funds, but you are not yet focused on income. Your portfolio grows, but it does not pay you. Stage 3. You have dividend income trickling in, maybe $50, $100, $200 a month. You can see the system working, but it is not yet replacing anything meaningful. Which stage are you at right now? Hold that answer, because in a few minutes, I am going to tell you exactly what the next move looks like from wherever you are sitting. Let me bring Sarah back. Remember, she asked a different question. She did not accept someone else's number. Here is what Sarah did over the next 3 years, starting at 34 with almost nothing in her investment account. Not because she was disciplined to the point of sacrifice, not because she had some secret advantage, but because she stopped optimizing for a number on a balance sheet and started building something that paid her. She redirected $400 a month, money she was previously spending on things she could barely remember at the end of the month, into dividend-generating assets. $400 a month for 3 years. At the end of year 3, her portfolio was generating just over $40 a month in dividend income. not retirement, not freedom. But something had shifted because for the first time in her adult life, there was a number in her account that arrived without her doing anything to earn it that month. And that $40 felt disproportionately significant. She said it felt like the first brick in a wall she could actually see herself finishing. Here is why Sarah's experience is not just motivational, it is mathematically predictable. The early years of dividend compounding are slow and easy to dismiss, but the curve does not stay flat. If Sarah invests $400 a month starting with nothing, earning a 6% average yield and reinvesting every dividend, here is what the growth of her dividend income looks like over time. Year 1, roughly $280 in annual dividends. Year 3, roughly $940 annually, or just under $80 a month. Year 5, about $1,700 a year. That is just over $140 a month. Year 10, approximately $4,100 a year, $340 a month. Year 15, nearly $8,000 annually, or close to $660 a month. Notice what is happening. The income curve is bending upward. The contribution stays the same, but the return accelerates. That is compounding. And this is only $400 a month. If Sarah increases her contributions over time, if her income grows and she scales from $400 to $700 to $1,000 a month, the acceleration compounds on top of the acceleration. The mid-career jump in contributions does not just add linearly, it catches the bend in the curve at exactly the right time. This is why people who start in their mid-30s and take it seriously can hit income independence by their mid to late 40s, not their 70s. Meanwhile, Marcus, same salary, same city, same starting line. Marcus did not do anything catastrophically wrong. He just did not do anything purposefully right. He kept most of his savings in a checking account earning near nothing. He contributed a little to a 401k, but never understood what was in it or what it was doing for him. He planned to get serious about retirement later. There is a researcher named Senthil Mullainathan who studied what financial stress actually does to your cognition. His work found that the mental load of financial scarcity reduces effective IQ by approximately 13 points, roughly equivalent to losing a full night of sleep every single night, perpetually. Marcus was not lazy. He was cognitively taxed by the very problem he was not addressing. That is the cruelty of financial drift. The weight of not having a plan makes it harder to make a plan. At 42, Marcus got hit with an unexpected car repair, $2,300. He did not have it liquid. He put it on a credit card at 22% interest. The minimum payments bled him for 14 months. That is not a money problem. That is a structure problem. And dividends are, at their core, a structural solution. Here is the practical path mapped to the 3 stages I mentioned earlier. If you are in stage 1, you have not started yet. Your single job is to open a brokerage account, automate a monthly deposit, and put it into a single diversified dividend ETF. One fund, one habit. That is it. The goal is not to pick the perfect portfolio. The goal is to start generating even $1 of income that arrives without your labor. That dollar is a proof of concept that changes how you think. If you are in stage 2, you are saving but not income-focused. The shift is to reallocate a portion of your existing portfolio toward income-generating assets. You do not need to blow up what you have. You start tilting. Maybe 20% of new contributions go to dividend-focused funds, then 30%, then more as you understand the mechanics better. If you are in stage 3, you already have dividend income coming in. Your leverage point is reinvestment and consistency. Every dividend that comes in gets reinvested. Every extra dollar of income gets funneled into more shares. You're not spending the dividends yet. You are feeding the machine. You are compressing the timeline. The goal at every stage is the same. Close the gap between what your expenses cost and what your assets produce. Every month that gap narrows, you need your job a little less. So, back to the question this video opened with. How much do you actually need to retire? Here is the honest answer, built from everything we have covered. The number is specific to you. It is not 1.2 million. It is not some generic figure handed down from a calculator that does not know what your life costs. Your number is your monthly essential expenses multiplied by 12, divided by the yield of your income portfolio. For most people living in a mid-sized American city with reasonable expenses, that real number lands somewhere between $350,000 and $600,000. Depending on your expenses, your yield, and whether you are building a full replacement or a partial floor that gives you the option to work less rather than not at all. $412,000 at a blended 6% yield generates just over $24,700 a year, roughly $2,100 a month. For someone whose essential bills are $2,000 monthly, that is the crossing point. That is the moment the paycheck becomes optional. Not because you have $1 million, because your assets are generating enough to cover your floor. That is a fundamentally different and far more achievable target. Sarah reached her stage 3 milestone at 41, 7 years after she started asking the different question. She did not quit her job the day her dividends crossed her expense line. She worked 6 more months because she wanted to, not because she had to. That distinction, voluntary versus involuntary labor, is the entire point of this exercise. Marcus, at 42, is still in stage 1, still planning to get serious later. Not because he cannot, but because he still thinks the number is too big and the starting point is too far away. He is looking at 1.2 million and feeling defeated. The number was never the problem. The frame was. The reason most people who are told they need $1 million actually need far less, and the reason some people with more than $1 million still feel stuck, comes down to this. The standard answer is built around a depletion model, a pot you eat from until it runs out. The dividend model is built around a flow model, income that arrives without you depleting anything, assets that pay you without disappearing. When your framework changes from save enough to spend down to build enough to live on the yield, the number shrinks, the timeline compresses, and the whole thing starts to feel, for the first time, genuinely within reach. That is the answer to the question we opened with, and it changes everything. But knowing your number is only the first part. The next question, and this is where most people stall out, is how do you know when you have actually crossed the line? Not theoretically, not on paper, but in a way that gives you real confidence to make the move. There are 3 specific milestones that signal you are actually ready to live off dividends. Not rules of thumb, not vibes, 3 concrete checkpoints. And most people never learn what they are, which means they either leave too early or keep working long after they did not have to. I broke all 3 down in detail at this link right here. Go watch 3 milestones that guarantee you can live off dividends at https://utu.b/pvzmtaesrnq. It is the natural next step after this one, and it will make this video make a lot more sense in practice. This video is one piece of a larger system I am building out here, a complete picture of how regular people with regular incomes use dividend income to restructure their financial lives and eventually buy back their time. Every video in this series adds another layer. If you want to follow that system from the beginning and catch each piece as it comes out, subscribe. Not because of a button, because the next video in this series might be the one that finally makes the timeline click for you. One question before you go, and I genuinely want to read your answer. Based on your current monthly expenses, what is your income replacement number? Run the math right now. Take your essential monthly bills, multiply by 12, divide by 0.06, and drop that number in the comments below. I want to see where people are actually starting from. You might be a lot closer than you think.